here I is. Bet you're saying, Mike, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Well, yesterday or last night, went to do the show, and first my capture card wasn't working. I couldn't even get it started. I couldn't even get the video on for some reason, and the audio was messed up. I don't know what I clicked. I clicked something where I wasn't hearing anything, and I was getting an echo. And then after the show, that got me flustered because I knew it wasn't working right. Then after the show, I listened back, and the audio in the stream had an echo on it. So I figured I'm doing it again because that's just how I am. So I wanted to redo that episode from last night because it just didn't like the way it turned out. I want it to be better. So going to give this a second shot here. Try to go through the questions again. Hopefully things will go a bit more smoothly. There won't be any echoes. Won't be any music issues, any video issues. Like I said, I got more junk here now. I'm lucky I know how to tie my shoes. It's like 3 cameras, multiple microphones, all kinds of junk here, and buttons that need to be pushed, and leaving me in control. This is not the best idea in the universe. Like I said, I'm lucky I can open a door with a key, let alone operate all this machinery and be the host and producer of all of this stuff going on here. But we'll get through. I will get better at this. Keep it smooth, keep it entertaining. But here we are, Thursday afternoon. I just ran out to do a few errands, and now it's back to winter. It's rainy and cold outside. It's dark, even though it's the middle of the day. So I figured I'll do this show now, and I can get on with some other stuff I got to do afterwards. So if you don't know, my name is Michael. I'm a women's photographer from here in New Jersey. I've been a professional photographer for over 15, 16, 17, oh my gosh, or longer probably. Worked with hundreds of women during the course of that time. And, you know, as part of what I do, there are many, many questions that just you get asked as a boudoir photographer. So it was a fun idea to come on, because if you have that question, there's probably many others that have that same question. So it's been helpful to answer some questions that people have about boudoir photography. And so that way, where they're well informed, they can make smart decisions when they go out and choose their photographers, because it's not as easy as you think. And often people find that out kind of a bit too late. So doing the show, we've been having some fun, and here we are. That's what we're doing. So today I have a new list of questions. Let me get my name off of there. And I have like 5 or 6, but should be better now that I have practice at these. You think I remember what the heck I say? I don't think so. But we'll roll through these again. Let me turn this down a bit behind me, and we'll get into this. And as usual, whereas I say, I get a lot of these come right through my website. In my chat, people reach out to me. Sometimes I get one in email, but YouTube, get a few people watching this live. Most of the views come afterwards. So if you happen to run across this and have a question, you can always leave your question in the comments below on the video. I'll get a notification that they're down there, and I can pop them into a future episode. So that's how we operate. And first question for the second time is, hey Mike, hey, nice show, thank you. I spent 15 minutes talking to a boudoir photographer and I redacted the area because I don't want to make this identifiable with anybody, about a session, and she kept saying flow poses, flow poses, flow poses, flow poses during the course of the conversation. WTF is she talking about? Drove me nuts. Thanks. Well, yeah, it's lingo. And if you've ever had a job as a sales professional in any kind of a universe, one of the things they always talk about is, don't use lingo with customers who don't know what you're talking about, because it just creates this level of unwellness and discomfort in them. And, you don't want to use talk like that. There's no need for it. So that is just photography lingo. what it means is, some people say this to sound like they know more than they know, but really all it means is a series of poses that people are connecting together. Why that needs to be brought up in a conversation, I would not know. Again, sometimes, photographers, as we've talked about, use things to make them sound like they know more than they know, but that's all it means, is somebody talking about the type of poses they're going to do. It's not a big deal in the scope of things, but someone should have explained what we're talking. It's not worth getting all riled up, though. It's just photography speak. So that's all that means. A series of connected poses where a person can go from one pose to the next pose to the next pose in like unison, like a organized kind of a system of posing. But I don't know, it's just a weird photography thing that people pick up on, and they think they need to do stuff like that, but no biggie. It's not anything you need to be concerned or worried about. It's just a method that photographer happens to be using. So just wanted to let you know what that meant. And next question is, I know there are a million boudoir poses, but what are some classics I can do during my session? Thanks. I know this was a chat. A woman reached out to me and wanted to keep her session a bit more traditional for what that's worth, and wanted some ideas on some traditional sort of boudoir poses. So what I did, get my folder here, I just grabbed a couple of mine. Now, the one thing I explained was that, posing is very unique. It's kind of like ice cream. There isn't one right answer. There isn't one best flavor. People are sort of drawn to things that they like. Every boudoir session is kind of unique to the person doing it. So there isn't a right, there isn't a wrong way to go ahead and do this. Some poses are better for certain body styles than others. So this is something that the photographer you're working with, they can pick the things out and make sure that when you go through and do these things, you're looking your best. But these are some things I consider a bit more traditionalier for what it's worth. Let me switch my little screen here and let me bring this up. It wants to come up. Trying to come up. Small picture. There it goes. About time. Okay, so let me add that in. Window. There we go. Okay, so you should see that now. Now these are just a few things. Blocking myself, so I want to make sure it's in there. Yeah, it's in there. That pictures that I grabbed in my brain, I consider more traditional poses. Again, traditional in the sense of like not 1930s traditional or 40, but like modern sort of traditional boudoir poses, really suitable for pretty much anybody, easy to do, but yet they give you that classic boudoir. And one is just kind of this, because there's only so many ways you can, you're standing, you're laying down, there's only a few fundamental starting ways to pose somebody, but within that basic framework there were many variations of this. This one's a little bit sort of laying down, which is always very classic. I think she had her legs up on the bed, kind of over the shoulder. I have always been a big fan of getting the wedding ring or the engagement ring in the pose with a little bit of a smile. So to me, and this is in color, this looks equally really nice in black and white. So something like this, I think, to me, has always been kind of very traditional. I always like these kind of poses in a book. And again, there are many variations of this. This one's a bit obviously over the other kind of a shoulder facing away. Hands are positioned a little bit different. Here they're a little up higher. This one, the hands are down a little bit further. Legs are still up, but the legs do not have to be up. They can just be bent knees. Like I said, there's tons and tons of ways to go ahead and do this. To me, this has always been kind of a more traditional style. of a pose that is pretty much suitable for anybody. It always looks good and more of a classic style. Again, this I have not seen come through my doors in a long time, but I knew I had a few of these somewhere. To me, this is another classic where the heels are kicking up and stuck in the back of the underwear. There's a few different variations of this pose. Again, something that has always been like a traditional sort of classic pose. Probably not get in that situation on your own. You need a little help to get all things set up in there, but you know, that's always kind of a fun one to do. Was really popular for a while. And what's always interesting to me too is gone through this, you see these poses go up in popularity and then they kind of vanish. You know, out of the blue, a bunch of women will come in all with these similar pose ideas and then they kind of fade away and you don't even realize they're gone until you think about it for a while. Another, this is more traditional outfit, stockings and stuff like that, but anything that can be, as boring as it sounds, just kind of standing or next to a window or something like that. Again, more of a classic boudoir style of a pose, easy enough for anybody to do. Then to me, another kind of a classic one is that head on, you know, and you can, there's a couple of different ways to do this. This is sort of the front part is in focus. She has her arms up into her hair and kicking up her feet in the back. Again, this is just sort of kind of works with anybody. And this is that same kind of a pose. It's a little bit of a different angle, more straight down over the shoulder. This one focuses more, you know, on the booty, keeping everything symmetrical, but it's the same idea as this one, except you're just doing the picture from a little bit of a different angle. And this one, it's just more about getting that content look or that relaxed look on your face. And the back part is sort of out of focus in this. So to me, these have always been really, again, kind of traditional poses. The key here on this one is just like symmetry, keeping everything the same and equal. This is probably one of the classic, and this one for a long time. People come in and put my legs up, and do legs up, and put my legs up, and put my legs up. So this too, out of this basic framework, there are, you know, many different variations of this, and your hands could be over your head and you can have your elbows up, or this one they happen to be flat and your hands in different sort of positions. But you know, this one is a popular pose and everybody sort of likes this. I don't see it as much as I used to, but I consider this again more of a classic kind of a style. Anybody can go ahead and do this. It always looks good. So this is one that is easy to do and more of a classic. And then another favorite of mine is always that type of a fishnetty type of a pose like this. Again, with the heels, this again is easy to do. Anybody can go ahead and do a pose like this. And this, you know, there's a few different variations on this as well. You could do it from the side. You could start to go around a little bit and do it from a little bit more of an angle. Same idea. People love this. Bring this shot into your photography. Do this. Everybody should have a shot like this in their session. To me, this has always been a classic too. So dramatical. It's not even a real word. You know, this kind of a bed leaning back. Oh, my life is so difficult. And just doing a kind of a pose like this. It's always fun to do. Kind of a classic pose. This is something you'll see all over the place. This is really something that's nice and more of a traditional pose as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this because you really go down a rabbit hole on doing classic poses. Again, more of a traditional, super traditional outfit again from the side with the stockings. Anything like that is going to be classic. And I don't know if I have one more in there that's just leaning sort of on the side, looking into the camera. Again, this is kind of just a traditional type of a pose. So those are just some ideas for that type of a traditional boudoir shot. You know, so just my interpretation. Let me get that off my screen. Go back up to me on here. But like I said, there isn't one right or wrong answer. Sometimes some of these ideas sort of really resonate with some other people. It's not for me, so you can sort through and, you know, get on the interwebs on Pinterest or wherever you can find probably hundreds and thousands of poses that come down to that more traditional type. And the few minutes I went and was thinking about it, those are just a couple that kind of came to my mind, and so I grabbed them and I thought I'd share with them. Hopefully that's helpful, and good luck on your session. Have fun. And next question: how long does a typical boudoir session last? Do they usually take place at day or night? Thank you. Well, I don't think there is a standard time. Photographers use all kinds of weird and wonky pricing methods and session methods and stuff like that. And I think it's gotten a little bit better over the time. But the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that in women's photography, boudoir photography isn't really sold. You're paying for a result, not necessarily a unit of time. And also, women's photography, it's meant to be a bit of experience, not like a rush. You're not like coming in and rushing through a bunch of stuff. It's supposed to be a break from your day, a break from your everyday routine, and to have a bit of fun. So I never saw what the point of rushing people, you know, through that. Just have them relax. How often do you ever get to do something like that? And it's about the experience. It's about taking your time and going through. I mean, in my particular case, people are usually there, I'm going to say maybe for upwards of 4 hours or so. And of that, maybe the first hour is just getting ready, hair and makeup, because if that's part of a session, people coming in and getting their makeup done and their hair done, that in and of itself can take a while for that. And then there could be preparations of looking through some outfits or so forth. And when you get into the actual photo part, could be doing photos for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And another thing about this, longer is not always necessarily better, because people get fatigued. You can always only take so many photos, and after a while you're like, oh, I'm starting to get a little tired. So it's also something when I do, I try to gauge the person's energy as we go through as well. And if I see someone starting, we've had enough, then I said, all right, we're good. We got plenty of photos. So depending in the real world, you could be, not counting the makeup part, but just the actual photo part, on a standard session could be 2.5 hours or so. That's plenty of time to go through, do the kind of photos you want, get plenty of outfits in without being fatigued, without it being too long, without it being too short, you know. So that's on average what other people do, you know. And there are still photographers that charge by unit of time, you know. Anything that's less than an hour or so, if you find someone charging that way, is really a little bit of a sprint, and you have to change, and you're being a little bit of a rush. You just want to be prepared for that, because when they say an hour, it seems like it's a long time. Like if I told you to hold your breath for an hour, you'd be like, that's crazy. But when you get in and start to do a photo session, it goes by like in a snap. An hour is like basically nothing. So I would say if it's just a normal session, there is no time limit for photographer. They're you know, it's based on the result. But if you do see someone charging by units of time, and you're forced to pick in your area someone is going by a unit of time, at least an hour minimum to 2 hours, you know, that way you can get in there and do the poses that you want to. Preferably you can find someone who is not charging by time is optimally the best way to do it. And my guess is probably most sessions are day. I know I've always been a day person because often I'm using window light. I think there are some photographers that do window. It can be done in the evening. It's just a little bit different because when you're doing photos at night, you need to use a lot of those big flashy lights, you know, and when those things are flashing, it just creates a little bit of a different feel in a photo. They are a little bit less soft. They could be more contrasty or so forth, and it just gives the photos a little bit of a different feeling to it. And again, not that that's wrong. You but you just want to sort of be aware of the type of photos you want, and depending how the lights are set up, you can have harder shadows with flash, but there's no way around it. If you're at night, you got to use those flashes, and the photographer has to account for that. So my preference has always been day. Again, there isn't sort of a right or wrong, but understand that if you're working somewhere at night or in the evening, they're going to be using flash photography, which can impact the look of your shots a little bit and make them look a little bit more kind of like contrasty. And I've always been more of a smoother, softer type of a look. So that's what you wind up with that one. Okay, so question 4, flying right along. Do boudoir photographers have any hidden costs I should be aware of, like for additional photos or special editing requests? Yeah, and this is something that is kind of important to know. And as I talked about, all photographers charge different and have wonky packages and va-va-voom packages or ooh la la. They name things all these very strange names, and you can't figure out what the heck you're getting. The key is that often when women are going in for a session, whether it's for a wedding, anniversary or Christmas or something, typically they're looking for something tangible, even though they may not think about it at first, something tangible to hand somebody, because if often these sessions are for gifts, you want a photo book, you want something to give to somebody. So I would say if that's your intent, just make sure, whatever you're getting involved in, if you do want a gift, that there's some kind of photo book or photo album attached to that. Now, as far as hidden costs, this is where this gets a little difficult to answer again, because in a situation, if you're going and buying a photo book if you're signing up for 12 photos and after you're like a bunch more and you want to add, of course, there's going to be extra charges, so what I've always thought is difficult when it comes to women's photography is women don't always know what they want. So it's hard for people to commit to something ahead of time because they really don't know what they're going to be getting after, and you may like a lot more than 10 photos, but that's what you saw at first. So there can be some extra charges depending on what you do or what you're signing up for. So that gets hard for women, because what I've found through time is when people see their galleries, they're like, oh, I love all these pictures, and you wind up and you always feel like you're leaving something behind if you're limited to 10 or something like that. So talk about budget, talk about what their average number of photos they use in a photo book, so that way you have a kind of an idea. Find out what you're getting for the package or a session that you're signing up for. Check what's included, and bring up that question, anything here I don't know about, that's afterwards, because that also leaves people feeling a little, if hidden costs don't work out so great, because people feel like they're getting taken, or that's not good. And I haven't heard of this for a while, but there can, and there were, and I'm sure there still are, photographers out there that would bring people in, do a session, and then after they'd wind up in this hard sell situation. All right, now you want your photo book, it's going to be $3,000. And people had no idea what they were getting into. They thought all they were paying for was this session fee, and it included nothing. And then now they're in this hard sell situation and locked in a room with a bunch of people, trying to get money from them. That makes people very, very, very uncomfortable. So it is important to ask, when you are booking a session, what you're actually getting, what people that work with this photographer typically are purchasing, maybe what the average cost or the average buy is, and you say, hey, I want pretty much everything that the normal person gets, because you don't know what you may be missing, because if you haven't done this a lot. So it does get tricky, but usually there shouldn't be a lot of extra, or I hate to use the word hidden costs. But with any session, if you're doing like a buy the picture, which is pretty common, you may want or like more photos than initially you thought, and there could be some extra photos that you purchased there. I don't necessarily think of that like as a hidden cost. Editing, there usually isn't any special or extra costs with editing. That is usually just part of the whole process, unless you're asking for something that's really unusual there. But generally speaking, no, you shouldn't have any. Now, there could be additional purchases, again, if you want to get, say, wall art or extra things that are not in your, but typically that stuff is optional and not forced upon anybody. So a little bit of a tricky question to answer, just because there's no standard way that all photographers price things, and just be a bit vigilant about what you want. Make sure you're getting what you want, and just ask these questions about if there are any photography, if there is any extra fees in there or not when you go through and have your chat with them. So hopefully that was helpful for you. And then, yeah, do all boudoir photographers have makeup artists? Is it okay to do my own? And I think this is the part last night where my echoes and my audio all messed up, so I don't remember even too much what I said about this one. But no, all boudoir photographers do not have makeup artists. Some do, and this really depends on the type of photographer I think that you are getting involved with. And remember, photographers are all different. There's always this sort of belief that all photographers are the same. That is not the case. You always have to think of it like restaurants. All restaurants are different. You would not walk into a McDonald's and expect gourmet service and waiter service and that kind of attention to your meal, right? As you would to go maybe into a 3-star restaurant and have someone changing your silverware after every course and, you know, going through or doing something like that. So photographers are just as different as restaurants. If you are working with something that's more of a high-end photographer, yeah, there could be makeup and or hair services included with those sessions. If you are going to a simple or a more budget type of a shoot, there may not be. It just may not be available, or it could be something that is a paid option on that session. Again, talk to the person that you're working with. Make sure these details are sort of clarified up at the beginning so you know what you're getting and you don't show up with no makeup expecting that you are going to get makeup there and nobody there, because that doesn't work out so great. So as far as, is it okay to do your own makeup? That was always a difficult one, and I always like, no, don't, because unless you are a professional makeup person, camera ready makeup is very different than what most people are capable or know how to do on their own. And I was always very uneasy when someone said, oh, don't worry, I'll do my own. I was like, no, because it really can affect the final look and feel of your photo. So I would say, if you are not, and I don't know that much about the makeup part because that's not part of what I do, but you know, there's lots of layers of foundations and stuff in line. It goes all, it's pretty detailed. And if you know how to go through and do all that stuff with lashes, I would say, you know, it's eyeliner is just not enough. So don't. I would say if makeup is not part of your photographer's package or something in your area, to go and book a session at a local salon by you and have somebody do that and then go and do your session. I think it's important part of shoots. You should get it done. But I would say, unless it's absolutely necessary, don't do your own makeup unless you are a trained professional. Just, you know, because you're going to have those photos for a long time, and you want it to look in a certain way, and you want to work with a pro, I think, in a boudoir type of a situation. And here we go. I've seen boudoir shoots of people in those VS Angel wings. Where do you get this done? So, I guess, and this is still going on, because as I noted, I just saw this week somebody in my Instagram scroll posting photos of angel wing photos. So I think that's still out there. And I'm going to say 5-6 years ago, or maybe more, that was all the rage. Angel wings. Was never anything I did, or I never had a set of those wings I don't know, just wasn't something I got involved in, but you saw that like sort of everywhere. And I don't think it's something you would do your entire session in. I've also seen maternity sessions done with those big wings and looking very dramatic with the big feathery wings out there. And if that's something you like, that's fine. I think you just, in this case though, you have to do a little bit of search and like angel wing sessions, or, I was trying to look into the Google machine to see how to search this, because buying those wings can be expensive, especially for the ones that are going to look the way you want them to look. I've had clients come in and bring wings, they're super teeny tiny ones that they bought somewhere, and okay, but it's not that same effect, because those really big ones that go all the way down, I think they're really, really, really expensive. Not worth buying something like that as a prop. Photographers kind of buy those, and I know some would even charge extra to do sessions in those wings because they were so expensive. So there are, I see at Etsy, you can get the wings, and of course Temu for $5. Can you imagine what chemical damage you're going to do to yourself by buying? What could those things possibly be made of? They're probably like radiation in those wings, but they can be hundreds and hundreds, if not $1,000 or more for those big custom-made wings. But I guess you have to go in and search for angel wing session or boudoir angel wings or something like that. I'm trying to see if any photographers market themselves with that. Yeah, I see a couple that show angel wing sessions. So you just have to go into your area, the angel wing portrait sessions. I see one here, urban couture photography. I don't know where that is. I didn't put a location in here, but there are some that advertise, Hello Boudoir advertises angel wing sessions. I don't know where any of these photographers are, but you'll have to find someone near you. Just type angel wing session and you can go ahead and do that. They're fun to do, but like I said, it's a specialty thing. I don't know if it's around as much now as it was 5-6 years ago, but it's fun. Go do your angel shoot. Be your Victoria's Secret angel, or whatever kind of angel. And on to the next. Yeah, then this next question, 7, what's the best way to prepare for my shoot? Are there things I should do in the days leading up to it? This question is like a whole video in and of itself. I mean, this is something that you can get super detailed into, and this routine is going to vary from person to person. And what I did is I went and I had actually from a blog post, this is going back I think a couple years ago, I had a prep guide that was attached to this blog post I made, and I went and dragged up a copy of that and put it in here as just sort of like a presentation. Let me take down that banner so you can see that. And yeah, there are steps, and people get into their preparation. They really like to go in and make sure they're doing everything. So I have this one that I made starting, because people used to ask me, coming in 3 months, what should I be doing? Or what should I be getting? I'm ordering my stuff. And people want to know a path because they get excited about their sessions. They want to have everything ready. They want to be prepared for when session day is there. And so, this is just one that I made, and I can't even read it because it's so small. 3 months out, start, can't even see what that says, your session. And this starts even what's going and looking for your photographer and working through your plans of doing your shopping, which is important. But this goes through it. I think mine was a couple of pages, and I did not even nearly go into all the detail that some people do, as far as some, they'll have their laser hair removal scheduled into their, and then they go on these dietary plans before to get ready. So people really get into this. As far as the basics go, a lot of it is sort of outfit organized, or really, if you're going back, it really starts with when do you need your session. If it's for a particular event, like a wedding or Christmas or an anniversary or something like that, you got to start backtracking. That's why it starts several months out, because sometimes you really need to get in and do your session several months even before your session is needed, because of all that time and editing and printing and processing. but this document walks through. And then I know you go on, again, the Google machine and search for like boudoir prep guide. Like a lot of photographers have these, and you can easily probably find one and download it. If not, what I'll do is take this one and I will put a link to the blog post that this came from. And if this is helpful for somebody, and I wrote this again a couple of years ago, you think I know what I was writing, but I don't even remember what's on there about confirming your session details, and then it gets into, you know, the day before, and then the week before, and the day of your shoot. You know, I remember making sure that people would eat, because I'd have women come in, they were, you know, people get anxious, if people were, you could tell they did not eat, or sometimes they weren't sleeping, and then they'd be on nerves, and when they realize, oh, there's nothing really to be nervous about, suddenly you see them get so tired. I'm like, oh yeah, I couldn't eat. I didn't eat in a day because I was so nervous. So eat, bring something with you, you know. So I just was adding a few things, and I thought that were fun for people to go through and to get ready. So what I'll do is I'll just put a copy of this, I'll link to this below, but there are many of these. They're fun to go through. Some are very simple. Some I've seen are super detailed, that go through like an enormous number of steps, and I guess you can choose the level of detail that's comfortable and how involved you want to be in your session. But they're fun to have, and make sure you're not missing out on anything, or, you know, all your details are on track for your session. So this is just one I have. I'll go and post this one down, so anybody who wants to, they can get a copy of this. But good session, or good question, and important information to get ready. But like I said, this is something that I could really do an entire show, just going through this step by step. So I don't want to really get into this too much here, because it'll just go on and on and on and on. There's a lot of info in there. It's fun, but that really needs to be dedicated whole session to that. But the key is here, the best way is just timing. The number one thing I think that a lot of women underestimate or get wrong is just the timing aspect, because photographers can be busy, and people think that, all right, I booked my shoot on a Monday, oh, my anniversary is on Friday, we'll be good. Doesn't work like that, because your session is just one small part of the overall process, and after that there could be a lot of editing that could take a while, depending how busy the photographer is, and after that, selection, picking out the photos that you want could take a while. Everything has to get sent out for printing and binding, and then that has to get shipped back to you. So it's not a great last minute thing. So the most important thing is to leave a lot of time and get yourself in early enough for your session. So I will leave that copy. Actually, the person who sent me this question, I gave the guide already, but they had a few more questions. But those are some of the steps with that. And I think I just had one more. Yeah, and this is one from, I remember this too. But just a silly question. My poor allergy voice. But have you ever been part of photos? I hear photographers really don't like being photographed themselves. Yeah, this was, cheers. This was a fun question when someone says, I don't see you in any of these shots. I am not averse. I have no aversion to, I've been in a million photos myself. You know, people have been out and taking photos. I have no problem myself being in a photograph. I mean, when I'm working with somebody or with a client, it's not really about me. You know, they're there for their experience, so I'm not trying to inject myself into their fun, and you know, there's no need for that. This is their memory and their experience that they're going through. And then also there's a question of comfort and, you know, suitability. Should I really be, you know, I don't like to get involved, especially that way. To me, that was always, you know, didn't feel the best to me, you know. But through the years, there have been, we were talking about poses and how some poses become popular and they kind of fade away. And I'll bring this other one up. I'm going to say maybe like 10 years ago. got to be at least 10 years ago. Maybe more. Can't remember. But there were, and this is not the best example of this, there were these shots where, you know, woman standing, as you can see, and then there was like this random hand coming in from the side, or this one was a little bit more towards the front. And women would start coming in through their sessions, and they'd have their phone and some poses they want to do, and like, is it possible to do this? And this is where, again, you see a bunch of people coming in with the same style of photo, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you're gonna get to, and I know maybe you could grab. So yeah, my involvement is usually like at most like an anonymous arm, like reaching in and tugging. I remember that one, and hey, if getting along and the person's all right with it and do that, then it's fun, why not, you know? And so that's probably it. And then the only other time I remember for a while, there were this other shot that I started seeing coming in where there was this woman, she was down on her knees and kneeling in front of this guy, looking up in this very dramatic way, and that one started to come in from a bunch of women, and or they would send me those shots and emails, and I want to do something like this. I'm like, oh, you're gonna bring somebody in. I'm like, I don't really have anybody to bring in, but I want to do this shot. So I would reluctantly be like the anonymous dude, you know, standing there. And then the funny thing is, how do you take the picture? When you're in the picture, that's what really is the difficult part. You have to get into remote triggers, or now using apps, which is a real pain because you have to get the camera or the phone out of the way and still make it look like a regular photo. So that's my big acting career there, kind of in a nutshell. Nothing too exciting, but I don't have a problem with pictures. I just really don't want to do it. It's not about me. You know, these sessions are for the clients, but I've had people I've worked with multiple times, and you know, like cool with working with them, and it's so I've donated an arm or a hand every once in a while for a photo, but nothing super exciting. Just, you know, trust me, nobody wants this in their photo. Nobody wants this. No one comes walking in and said, yeah, I need more of this. That's one thing I certainly don't have to worry about in a photography session. So I thought that was a cute question. So thanks for asking that one. And I think that probably wraps up everything I had for today. And again, if you came in and let's get onto my page, came in and saw that show last night, well, this is just sort of a rehash of that. Hopefully there is no echo. Things seem to go more smoothly. My overly complex setup here seemed to be working today, so hopefully this video will be a lot better. We got through like 6, 7, or 8 questions there. I saw some people popping on, but most of these views right now happen afterwards. People kind of watch these and see them after the live, but it's fun. A little dangerous. I like doing it live, so this is fun to do. So we'll keep doing these every couple of weeks, answering some questions as they come in. So I always appreciate people taking their time out to watch. Anybody who hung in this long, hopefully there was some useful information in there. These tend to get broken down into some shorter segments, question by question, which people seem to have liked. And if you do have anything you'd like to know about, if you're working with a photographer, don't hesitate to leave your question down below, or reach me on my website, Instagram, or so forth with any questions you may have, and we can go ahead and get them on the show, because we want everyone to be safe, shop smart, and walk away having great results. Because as we always talk about, finding a photographer is not as easy and simple as you think it would be. Always keep that kitchen nightmares example in mind, and just because somebody calls themselves a pro doesn't mean anything. Do your work, do your research, and that way you'll walk away and have a great experience and some photos that you can enjoy for years and years to come. So thanks to everybody for watching this week. I'm going to wrap this up so I can get out and do some more work around home. And I appreciate you, and I am out of here. See you next time, everybody. Thanks.